Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton is absent. Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we begin, I'm sorry. Today, we have a young lady by the name of April Shaw who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gotta give her a hand. She's coming up.
Oh, okay.
All right, you ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you.
Okay, before we begin our meeting, I'd like to take a moment of silence for former Councilwoman Marge Horvath, who passed away on August 17th. At this time, let's take silence. Okay, thank you. At this time, we are going to move on to Muscular Dystrophy Association 2019 Fill the Boot campaign check ceremony for the Fire Department Local 1355. Who do we have for that? Please step up.
Got a little group of us here.
My name's Aaron Luber. I'm with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. We want to just take a moment to salute and say thank you very much to Local 1355, your Dearborn Heights Fire Department, and particularly also Gary Spiz. He's been campaigning for 5 years now with the Fill the Boot program from MDA. This is our main partnership is with the IAFF. Gary, over the past 5 years, has raised tens of thousands of dollars. This year, a really record number for them, as far as I can tell. Over 8,800, as you see, on this giant, preposterously large check I'm holding. What this helps MDA do, though, is three things. We are spearheading the research end of muscular dystrophy. We cover 43 neuromuscular diseases. So this has helped us invest over $44 million this year into research into neuromuscular disease. This is going to help thousands of our patients that we support here in Metro Detroit get the care that they need by going to our care centers. And most importantly, also, this supports our patients with activities, things that they can do. We have a family that's here locally, just a couple miles away. April, who just led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Every year we send kids with muscular dystrophy aged 6 to 18 years old to overnight summer camp. This year we had the pleasure of having 89 children at summer camp at a cost of about $2,000 per camper. That's totally for free for the families. This is an opportunity for the kids to go tree climbing. This is an opportunity for the kids to go horseback riding and just be children, all free from their disease. And so I just want to take a minute and give a round of applause to Local 1355 for raising this.
You know, I'd like to say real quick too, while we've said over and over and over that this has been, it's a lot of work from the fire department, but none of this is possible without the citizens of this community. And we're so fortunate to serve such a wonderful community that numbers like this wouldn't be possible without the support from them. So thank you to the community. Thank you so much.
We have about 2,800 families in Metro Detroit we support. 24 of those families, I'll look this up right before I walk in, 24 are right here in Dearborn Heights. So it is a very community thing. It's community driven by you guys. So again, thank you. It's not only just supporting MDA nationally, but it's actually just right here. So thank you. I'm going to take a photo real fast and then we'll let you get back to your meeting. Okay. Thank you, yeah. Thanks.
Photobombing them, Dave?
Thank you. Okay, at this time, next item on the agenda is agenda approval.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we approve the order of business August 27th, 2019, the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council, as amended with an addition of ordinance, under ordinance and resolutions 11A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. This is the minutes from the regular meeting of August 13th, 2019.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move that council approve the minutes of August 13, 2019, as outlined. Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is public hearings and comment on current agenda items. We ask that you limit it to 2 minutes. Step up to the microphone, state your name.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Zuhair Abdelhaq, 354 Rosemary. I want to talk about item 15 on the fund transfer and current claims. We can't take that, not supposed to.
Okay, it's on agenda items only. It's not for current claims.
It's a current claim.
That's a current fund transfer and current claim.
A current claim.
Okay, should I wait until the end?
No, there's no
It is on
comment.
the,
Well,
At the end of the meeting.
At the end, he could speak of it, but it wouldn't make a difference in our vote.
Right. Am I correct, Mr. Clerk?
isn't number 6 on the agenda?
But when we, as a council, voted to allow people to speak on, before the meeting started, it was everything but current claims that have to be paid. And that was just, I just remembered that.
That's okay. I'll wait
sorry.
until then.
I'm sorry.
That gives me
sorry.
3 minutes better than 2.
Any other comments on fund transfers and current claims at this time?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. Okay, next item on the agenda is fund transfers and current claims.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve fund transfers 6/1 through 6/31 as submitted.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair, I have
Councilman Muscat?
just a couple, please. It's on 6/7, the BS&A software field audit system. I'd just like to know when the last time it was audited and what do they audit?
Hey, who would-
Yeah, Jack is not
Okay, go
here.
ahead.
He was ill. What number was that?
6/7.
That is 6 and 7, the S&A.
For both of those should be the annual fees for using the system.
Well, I mean, it tells us it's an audit. Field audit system, annual service and support.
Right, so on the tablets that they use, and the call that they're allowed to make, it's an annual fee that we pay for their services.
Okay, so that's just the overall health of the system.
Yeah.
Am I correct? Okay, thank you. And I have two more, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The next one is 6/11. Exotic Automation Supply. I see we're buying a lot of bulk hose. Do we have a capability of making hoses? Is that why we're buying hose in bulk?
Yes, that's for hydraulic hoses, hydraulic fittings, those types of things.
But we
So-
have a
Yep,
crimping
clamp
machine?
where we can crimp them.
Okay, we have a crimping machine.
Yep.
Okay. And then my last one is 624 with the Justice Center interest and principal payment. Does Tifa pay any of this since it's a Tifa building? Does anyone know?
Comptroller? Or, I'm sorry,
The,
Treasurer Riley?
So you can see the invoices for $1,081,000 and some change. The court revenues that's come from the general fund is $95,400, and Tifa picks up the balance, which is $985,659.38.
okay. So Tifa does get
But the majority of
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey?
I have a few items, some of my comments. The first one, if you look at, I guess, all the invoices, a lot of them, let's see, they have the amount budget before payment. I know we closed last year, but some of the numbers, they match what we had last year. They don't match what we still have this year. I know the mayor mentioned that, you know, these numbers fluctuate between invoices. We need to keep that up because some of them have an amount, some of them are blank. So I have an issue with the blank ones and the ones that they don't match what's the actually amount budget before payments. That's the first one. The second item, we have two items. It says DPW, 6.2 and 6.9, and that's billed to the water budget. I don't know why that is.
Dr. Salmi, would you like to address that?
Those are billed to water because those are actual water repairs from broken water mains, catch basins, sewer repairs, stop box repairs, things of that nature, so they are billed to the water department.
Okay. The second one, let's see, the last item. Okay, I guess we have an item 619, Plan Moran audit. I know it says professional services rendered for $6,000. I haven't seen anything for that audit, so I know we have an annual audit.
Comptroller, would you like to address that?
Well, it's for the CDBG audit.
We haven't seen the results
it's-
of the audit.
No, you won't see it yet. What happens is prior to the regular audit, they do a single audit of all federal funding, and then that is encompassed in the other audit. So this is preliminary work to prepare for the full audit that we're starting next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last item, item 15, we have excessive amounts here for the MMRMA allocation, especially the ones for the water fund for almost $200,000. I definitely have a concern with these amounts being that excessive, and also we haven't seen any corrective action on, as I mentioned, I know I can't disclose it in this meeting, but I did bring it up at one of the last closed sessions that we need to see corrective action for some of these before we keep approving MMRMA funding.
This isn't insurance, it's a self-insurance fund.
I understand.
It's not, it's something, it's a premium that we pay. It's,
I understand.
I
We
don't
still-
think you do, though. This is exactly how it's broken out by the audit.
Why is that water fund $200,000?
Because that's the allocation, so when we get the money coming back, just like we explained in the budget, that same percentage of allocation goes right back into the water fund.
Thank you. Any other discussion? At this point, we will take a vote on fund transfers and current claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey is opposed. The ayes have it. Next item is consideration of bids. This is DPW Director Salmi, bid award recommendation for the 2019 CDBG water main improvements, Williams, Clippard, and Campbell Avenues.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Director of Public Works, John Selmy, who has reviewed and concur with Wade Trim's letter dated August 9th, 2019, that D&D Water and Sewer from Canton, Michigan submitted the lowest responsible bid for the 2019 CDBG water main improvements on Williams, Clipper, and Campbell Avenues, and the amount is $638,953.00, and approval of an engineering budget for Wade Trim in the amount of $60,000, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the attached contract agreement as outlined in item 7A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is under reports from city officials. We have DPW Director Selmy, Building Maintenance Equipment Purchase 2020 Ford F-550 with salt and plow package.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that we concur with our DPW Director, John Selmy, and authorize the purchase of one 2020 Ford F-550 salt and plow truck package from Gorno Ford in the amount of $64,057. The purchase to be made by the MDL purchasing program as outlined in 9A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I see where 9A, B, C, and D are all the same. Are these all different pieces of
different ones.
equipment, or are they just the same one?
There's two pieces for the highway department and two pieces for the building maintenance department.
Okay.
So I wanted to break them out individually so that you could see it, that it was
Thank you.
clear that it was
Thank you.
ultimately going to be 4 pieces.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, any further questions? Councilman Wenzel.
Does the vehicles with the salt package, does that have stainless steel beds on them?
Actually, it's a stainless steel spreader that goes into the back of the box, and then in the springtime, we take it out, and then we can use it as a dump.
And does it have a front plow, or is this
Yep.
a big pickup truck?
550, front plow.
250.
A front plow?
Yep, the 550 and the 250 both have plows, but they're mounted on the front of the truck.
On the front of the truck?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, this time we are voting on 9A. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is DPW Director Salmi, Building Maintenance Equipment Purchase for a 2020 Ford F-250 with a plow package.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve the purchase of one 2020 Ford F-250 with plow package in the amount of $41,310 for the building and maintenance department from the maintenance department capital outlay budget as outlined in 9B.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, Highway Equipment Purchase for a 2020 Ford F-550 with salt and plow package.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Public Works Director John Selmy, requesting permission to purchase one 2020 Ford F-550 with salt and plow package from Gorno Ford in the amount of $64,057. And this was made under the MI deal purchasing program, and it was expensed in the 2019 and 20 Highway Department capital outlay budget as outlined in item 9C.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Selmy, Highway Equipment Purchase, 2020 Ford F-250 with plow package.
Madam Chair,
Councilman O'Della.
I move that we concur with Director John Selmy, requesting permission to purchase one 2020 Ford F-250 with plow package from Gorno Ford in the amount of $41,310. And this was made under MI deal purchasing program and expensed out of the 2019 and 20 Highway Department capital outlay budget as outlined in item 9D.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? Councilman Wenzel.
I wanted to just go back. The salt spreaders, are we also purchasing them, or do we already have those?
No, it's part of the purchase.
Part of the purchase, okay, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have...
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, thank you. Next, we have Emergency Management Coordinator Gavin, permission to purchase 2 computers for Cable Studio.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that we concur with our emergency manager, Lee Gavin, and authorize the purchase of 2 Dell computers and the accessories as recommended by the Dearborn IT department. As the current computers are failing, the total is $5,128.98 to come out of capital outlay, as outlined in 9E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
My concern with this is, we recently found out we have $890,000 that we could spend on a studio. And we haven't had any more movement on this. Nobody's come forward to say, let's get a study going, or where we're going to put it, what's going to cost, what we're going to do. And I'm concerned that we buy computers now, and then next year or whenever we go to redo the studio, they're already going to be obsolete. So do we have anything laying around that we could use for the time being till we put this package together?
Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, there's really nothing laying around. Angela and Stan's computer, and he's having a difficulty getting the council meetings up in orderly fashion. We had Dearborn IT come in, and they're getting these through Dell. They're going to be compatible with any future additions or modernization we do to the studio. So Angela's is the one there too. She can't pull a lot of stuff up, so she sits there sometimes during the day, with...
And I understand, but we don't have anything like in the emergency room there at the police station where we bought a bunch of computers for there, or there's nothing there available that we could use for the time being? I just can't, it's hard for me to believe a city this side doesn't have something they could use till we rebuild the studio.
You know what? I'll check around. I'll check with Dearborn IT. They know, what we have around the city. And
I don't know what the computer's going to be, what it's going to need as far as programs and of that nature, and they may be too old, but I'm hoping that, I don't know if you're going to be spearheading this refab of the...
Yes.
We need to get going on it. We're running on borrowed time. We've been saying that for a number of years now.
We have an architect that's in reviewing the plans, and then we'll submit them to the council when he submits them to us.
Okay, thank you.
But I would implore, and Angela can talk about this, but we're in real jeopardy of not being able to have these go out on cable. These are very important, and they are compatible with whatever is done. So I don't want to answer questions when people say, well, the council meetings aren't on anymore.
Well, and I agree with you, but we've been saying this for years, and we're just sitting here idly by.
Well, we put it in the budget, and it got tabled not once, not twice, 3 times.
Who tabled it?
The council.
I didn't table anything.
No, you in fact offered your son for architectural.
Yeah, and nobody came through.
But the rest of the council tabled it.
Hey, Councilman Abdullah.
Well, since we have the coordinator up there, I'd like to get, if you don't mind, for the residents and then for ourselves as council, is there, I know at one point we had talked during the budget in regards to the studio that we're going to be putting in, and I know we had budgeted some money towards that, and then you had mentioned you were starting to get some estimates. Can you give us a little bit of an update, if you don't mind, since you're up there already?
Well, that's getting off the line.
Huh?
It's not proper at this point.
If at least 2 sentences, just to give us a little bit of an update on it.
So the council budgeted us $450,000, and we have an architect coming in, and we have a couple different options we asked him to look at so we can get a couple different price range. He worked on the Dearborn cable system. We looked over at Berwyn, and that was kind of the cable that, not the cable, but studio that we have up there now is pretty dilapidated. Most of you have seen it. So we're waiting for the architect to come back with a couple game plans, and then we'll go out for bids on some contractors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to purchase server for a fire department.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move City Council authorize the purchase of a Dell PowerEdge R730 server for the fire department in the amount of $2,999 to come out of the capital outlay payable upon receipt as outlined in 9F.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Police Chief Bolton approval to purchase and pay 2 additional in-car computer systems.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Chief of Police Daniel Voltatorni requesting council approval for the purchase and payment for the following: Latitude 14 Rugged 5414-2 docking station with antenna and I'm sorry, 2 of them, and then notebook screen stiffener, 2 of them also. This is the cost for 2 additional in-car computer systems. These will be used for backup in case one of the cars is involved in an accident and cannot be used. And the cost for this is $5,451.12 and will be taken out of the OWI forfeiture account as outlined in item 9G.
Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Police Chief Bolton approval to purchase and pay floor scrubber.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve the purchase and payment for one 11-8B 18-inch battery scrubber with 9GL SOL with soft brush floor scrubber as outlined in 9H.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I'd like to ask, if possible, the chief, if he looked into renting this equipment, which comes with parts and service. Myself, as a longtime maintenance repair person, repaired many a floor scrubber in my day, and they can be hairy when they get plugged up, and hoses have got to be replaced, and vacuum motors and squeegees. Did we ever look into renting them instead of purchasing them?
No, the purchase was made with kind of a bulk purchase with DPW, the building maintenance department. They bought a series of these exact floor scrubbers for a couple of buildings. And now that I know your history, might throw a dime to you and have you come in and repair a hose for us.
I could do it for free. That's not a problem. I don't need a dime.
All right.
I got no problem with it at all, okay?
But yeah, no, it's going to cut down on our maintenance, floor
Yeah,
maintenance.
the problem with floor scrubbers, if the floors aren't swept, they pick up the dirt and they get plugged up.
I'll remind our
That's
employee.
the big problem with a floor scrubber.
All right.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Lisa, can you vouch that he does good cleaning? I'm just curious.
Absolutely.
Okay. I move that Ray Muscat, no, I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is 11A. This is the resolution adopting a moratorium on the enforcement of the inspection requirement found in Section 7-625A1, 3, and 4 of the City Code Ordinance.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that we concur with our Assistant City Attorney, Mark Roberts, and move for the adoption of the moratorium on the enforcement of the inspection requirement found in our city ordinances as outlined in 11A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Mr. Roberts, would you like to come up and give us a few words on this?
Certainly. There has been a number of lawsuits that have been filed among various communities challenging this very aspect of their ordinances. The City of Dearborn Heights ordinance has not had any adverse judgment made against it. However, in reviewing the ordinance and hoping to perhaps refine it to make it a little bit more effective within the parameters of these other lawsuits, we're asking that a moratorium be placed for a period of time on this one narrow aspect of our ordinance regarding the inspections. all other aspects of the rental property regulations in the city would remain in effect. It's just this one part, and just for a period of time so that we can explore methods to maintain our ability to enforce and maintain the quality of the rental property in the city.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay,
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman Bazey.
So in here, I know that it was added to the agenda and it was removed from the agenda, then it was added today.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance, yeah, obviously, yeah. So I scanned through it. I didn't see anything on here. If the current occupant, like, you know, we discussed the last couple of meetings, you had an owner of this particular house. That house was infested, and the current owner, not owner, I'm sorry, the occupant, the renter, had an issue. So I'd like to see if we can add something in here. I know that we talked about it today, earlier, that if we can get a court order to go in the house, but I'd like to put something in here before I would like to say yes to approve this moratorium. If the current renter agrees that we go in, obviously with the proper documentation from the court, that we can go in there and just look after the residents that are actually currently living in that particular house. Because we've had, since I've been on the council, I've gotten multiple calls from renters. They've had issues with the homeowner.
Sure.
And, you know, mold, rats, mice, infestation. Right. And nobody's gone in those homes because of that 3-year period.
And I think what you're addressing may be an inspection that's not incorporated in the moratorium. The moratorium is just the enforcement of the ordinance provisions specified and outlined in the resolution. That's the requirement for the inspection every 3 years upon change of the tenant, and I'm blanking on the third one, but in any event, what you're talking about is not a subject of this particular ordinance. What you're talking about is a complaint that would be made, and if we're given permission to enter, we can enter and inspect for that complaint, or if need be, we can go to the district court and seek what's referred to as an administrative search warrant. That's not related to the ordinance that's the subject of this moratorium.
If I may.
Does that answer your question?
Councilman Yaki?
Yeah, basically, we already have the authority to get an administrative search warrant provided the court ends up approving it. So this moratorium would not deal with those types of situations. So if someone has the type of situation that you're referring to, they make a report over to the Ordinance Enforcement Department, then the Ordinance Enforcement Department would contact Mr. Roberts or myself, and an administrative search warrant request could end up being sought. And the courts, both judges have granted these in the past, and we've followed up on enforcement action based on that. So this would not need to be changed for us to already be able to do that.
Okay, so the second question is, obviously, if there's any issues, and some obviously be on their property, but going through their driveway, say in their backyard, they got issues of not complying with ordinances. Would this or the new ordinance also address that issue of going into somebody's property?
Okay, what we're talking about is a very narrow scope of code enforcement activity. What we're talking about is our rental property ordinance. The rental property ordinance was amended a number of years ago in an effort to address the quality of the rental properties in the city. And what we decided we would do is that every 3 years we would require an inspection, or if there was a change in tenancy, or if there was some external observation of a potential problem, we would have the ability to go in on the property. And if we were refused, we could actually issue a ticket. That is what this moratorium addresses. We're going to put a hold on that aspect of code enforcement for the time being until we can come up with another alternative that doesn't even come close to any of the ordinances that have been challenged in other communities. As far as what you're talking about, that's straight code enforcement. That is not impacted at all by this moratorium.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, next we have under new business, business license renewals for Anthony's All Car and Truck Sales LLC located at 20032 Van Born, West Financial Auto Group located at 5952 Telegraph, and X-Drive Auto Sales located at 6528 North Telegraph.
Mr. Clerk, Council Chair, Mr. Clerk, can we take all of these at one time or individual? Council Chair?
Yes.
I move that the business license renewals for the stated businesses as outlined, be approved as outlined in 13A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we open up comments from council members at the table.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat.
Today, I placed in front of you a document that I received from the city of Dearborn, which wrote a new ordinance. It's a littering ordinance for unsolicited written materials like the newspaper that's dropped at everyone's driveway when they don't want it. I had asked for this a few years ago, and at the time there was court cases going on, and now the Sixth Circuit Court of the United States Court of Appeals has approved and upheld this ordinance, and I'm asking permission from the council chair to allow our corporation council to review the documents and write an ordinance as how this is stated.
Permission granted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
Got a few items. The first one, I know I got a response from the mayor regarding the school crossing. I mean, it was a state of Michigan mandate responsibility of the city to provide crossing guards. So my question, again, I didn't get a chance to reply back, but who does the school board need to talk to make sure this gets coordinated? Because I guess I was at a school board meeting, and there was a discussion, and there was a little bit of confusion, Mayor. So I'd like to, since they're here.
Yeah, I'll have the chief respond to it, but it's been our obligation for, I don't know, the last 30 years, I think.
So I wish I would have had the state law that requires us to fulfill the obligation, but it's kind of vague on whether it's just for elementary schools and does it extend to middle schools. It's room for interpretation. But the issue that we had was that Crestwood was paying for school crossing guards at Riverside Middle School. There was a history of that, and I don't know what happened lately. I was trying to catch up from the school board minutes from the deputy chief and the captain that were there. But forward me the information, I'll get you what we have, and we'll coordinate with Crestwood.
Yeah, I think they probably discuss it at public.
Council Chair, we have some school board members here if they would like to address that.
Would you like to address that?
I would, actually. Riverside is included because our middle school includes 5th grade, which is an elementary level, and 6th grade. So there is a crossing guard needed at Riverside, and which would come under the law. This has been something that the mayor has been in agreement since we discussed it originally. Oftentimes we don't have crossing guards show up at all, and we have always paid out of our budget for this. The state law is that the district or the city should be paying for it. So I don't know what information you need but we'll be happy to supply whoever with the information so that we can get this rectified and maybe even see some retro pay. It's on the kids, you know? We've been paying for this for forever. And out of the district's pocket. And this is money that we could be using to educate the students of this area. And we shouldn't have been paying it. It should have been being covered by the city.
Well, I mean, I can't comment directly on what the state law says. If the state law says grade schools, well then the whole school isn't a grade school. It's a middle school. I'm not here to argue semantics, but
Well, it's not semantics when you're talking about 5th and 6th grade legally being elementary. We just house them at the middle school because that's where we have our 5th and 6th grade, the room for them.
okay.
So we have an elementary, oh, thank you, I really needed this. So we have elementary students, 5th graders and 6th graders that are crossing at Riverside. We need a crossing guard. We have crossing guards, but we have been paying them as we have at the other elementary schools. It's
Well, you're not paying for them at the elementary schools.
Pardon me?
You're not paying for them at the elementary school. You're only paying for the positions at Riverside.
Yeah, and we
Correct.
we were supplied with police officers for crossing at the other elementary schools. Highview for certain.
No, they fill in for the crossing guards when they're unavailable.
Okay.
And that's one of our biggest problems, is trying to
Right.
fulfill the crossing guard responsibility.
Right.
We looked at privatization, and it's about $170,000 to have it staffed. So
Right.
we're trying to make do without spending $170,000.
Whatever the city feels that they need to do to come up with the most economical solution is fine, as long as it's done, because legally we have that due us. And as I said, I am one that, I'm only one voice here, but I think that we can go back in our records and show retroactive how long we've been paying for it that we should not have been. And that's money we can use for other things, for education.
Should we meet with the acting superintendent then?
I believe the interim superintendent has communicated through email. Is that right, Mr. Bazey? And so they're getting together. They're getting information. What we can do is we can have our information, our legal information, sent to either the mayor or to council. Whatever you need.
If you send it to me, I'll get it over to Mr.
Okay.
Matke.
Toot sweet. We could get this done in,
Yeah,
we talked about it last year, and, pleasantly not in a disagreement. I mean, you knew right away, and we're very upfront about, yes, that is the city's responsibility. So meet your responsibility, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a large,
Councilman
oh, I'm sorry.
Bazey has
You got to comment on this one?
Well, just comment on that real quick. We have a large police reservist force. Couldn't we use them to help? I mean, we do it for festivals. Why couldn't we use it? I mean, that's for festivals. We sure can use them for protecting our children.
Well, so are we looking for volunteers, or are we looking to pay people? I mean, if we could staff it with volunteers, I'll start up a list, and I'll take all the volunteers we can to fill the position.
A lot of the reservists have either full-time jobs
There
or
are
retired.
full-time
Yeah, it's become.
employees elsewhere.
It's difficult. That's a full-time job at a couple times during the day.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Councilman Bazey?
Second item, this is probably for Director Selmy. We have some complaints on Campbell and Van Born. There was a road that was repaired a while back, and a lot of potholes up there. It's causing damage to vehicles. I have an email and some pictures if you want to.
Yep, I responded back to the email this morning, and I spoke to a couple of council people directly. So that radius into that intersection, that is under the jurisdiction and the right-of-way of Wayne County. Where that right-of-way ends, you can see where the new concrete starts, where the city has replace the concrete as needed. So the complaint is specifically about the approach off of Van Born onto Campbell, which is in the Wayne County right-of-way, which the city doesn't do work in.
Thank you. Last item, since I see our commissioners here. We actually have an item on that was reported numerous residents on Hines Drive. So going off of Ford Road, if there's a flooding issue or there's floods or if it rains, which is 99% of the time they close that area just west of Outer Drive. So the residents are getting sick and tired of traffic diverted to their neighborhoods off of Ann Arbor Trail. So they were actually asking how come we can't get a sign right before we get to Hines Park off of Ford Road alerting traffic that, hey, Hines Park is closed due to flooding or something. So people can just keep going down Ford Road and not going on, excuse me, down the Hines exit and just exiting and going through neighborhoods. And, you know, there's a lot of schools off, I mean, there's a lot of, the speed limit is, people exceeding the speed limit off of Ann Arbor Trail, and there's kids walking back and forth, and residents are very concerned. So why can't we do something like that? I mean, if we can get a sign, somebody could just go put up a sign, just say, hey, the Hines Park is closed.
Commissioner Webb, would you like to address that?
I can address both of those last two issues. Do you need me to take the podium or?
If you want, you're fine there.
Yes? Okay.
That's good choice.
Okay, we can start with this one and then go back. So I'm not sure what the status currently is, but I know it's on the list to be replaced, Hines Drive between Outer Drive and Ford Road. I can check to see where they're at with that, but I know that it's on the list to be replaced. So that's one thing. So you're going to see more construction and whatever going on there. If there's not a sign, you're asking for a sign on Ford Road. So before you get to Outer Drive, just so I'm clear, Councilman Bosky. So if you're headed eastbound on Ford Road.
Westbound.
Oh, you'd be headed westbound?
Yeah, if you're heading down westbound on Ford,
Okay.
you got the Hines exit, right?
Right.
So, so you get into Hines Park, and if it's raining, excessive rain, then they shut that road down.
So
then
you need
the
a.
traffic is diverted. I mean, I've seen that traffic is bumper to bumper all the way down to Ford Road from Outer Drive.
And if, yes, and if that road's going to go under construction, you're even going to have a bigger problem there. So what you're suggesting is that when it's closed, whether it's closed for construction or closed due to flooding, that there be a sign put on Ford Road to let people know before they get there that it's closed. I think that's a very reasonable request, and so I'll put that in for you now, I mean, as soon as I leave here. And do you know if anybody's called it in yet?
No, they called us because
just heard about it?
It's always the city council, so I don't know what.
Hey, you're the first line.
Yeah,
You're the first line of defense.
We're used to it in the Marines, so.
It's okay, that's what I'm here for. So, yeah, so for sure, I will take a look in that, just so people know, I just want to throw this out there, 1-888 Road Crew. That's the phone number to report everything. You get a service order request number. They'll give you a date by which they're going to meet your need. If they don't meet it by that time, you call my office, 313-224-0930, and we'll go after it for you. We don't control day-to-day operations. They work for the county executive, but we can advocate on your behalf and are certainly willing to do so.
Thank you.
No problem. So I will go after that one. The other one, I think it was Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton that sent me pictures of
Warren and
Van Born
and Van Born
and Campbell. And it's treacherous. It's terrible. So there was already service order request numbers that were called in, though. So people who complained about that knew what to do, and they gave us service order request numbers. So we'll follow up and go, advocate on their behalf, so.
Council
Thank
Chair,
you.
I just want to say
Councilman
that Director Salmi responded to my email very early this morning, and I appreciate that he did respond almost immediately with it, and when it was brought to our attention, and then we then found out it was the county's position, and thank you for taking care of it, and thank you, Director Salmi.
I told you had a good one when you hired him.
Best around.
Commissioner, can I ask a question
Go
while she's
ahead.
up there? Are you aware of the traffic light issue on Van Born and Telegraph with the 4-second left-hand turn lane light?
Yes, yes.
The 4-second,
There's a southbound Telegraph at Van Born. There's a left-hand turn light.
yep,
There's 5 lanes that go across there.
Yeah.
In the left lane, there's a light, an arrow that says you can turn left, and I went there the other day, and it's on left for 4 seconds. I took a watch.
so it's an accident waiting to happen.
It's a brand-new left-hand turn lane they put in, okay, there.
You're right.
And
I thought so. I thought they just put
I
one in
can
there.
speak that for a second. That's not a Wayne County jurisdiction, that's
It's
a MDOT
MDOT.
jurisdiction. That's a
Yeah, it's on
MDOT
Telegraph,
project.
right on Telegraph?
So, US 24 is under the jurisdiction of State of Michigan, MDOT. I can reach out to the Taylor Service Center and bring that complaint to their attention.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I've got
Never
Van
mind.
Born and Campbell and Heinz Drive in Ford Road.
Thank you.
Okay, got you.
Thank you.
What's this guy with the camera? Chair.
Councilman Constant.
Thank you. This last week, we lost Councilwoman Margaret Horvath. I served with Councilwoman Horvath on Goodfellows and worked for her brother, who was a former IRS special agent and an attorney, and also served with her on the city council. We were sometimes on the opposite side of issues, but she was always a very hard worker, very informed, very dedicated, and she'll be sorely missed.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Mayor?
In that light, we kind of got before I got a chance to say, but I don't think any of us realize how many lives that Councilwoman Marge Horvath touched in a multitude of various areas. She loved the city so much, and she is irreplaceable. And I think if you just, I don't think any of us know how many lives she touched and how many people she helped. But I'm convinced that if anybody is going right directly into heaven, I think Marge is one of them that's going to achieve that. What a terrific woman. The city of Dearborn Heights is going to be indebted to her forever.
She was also one great hockey mom, I'll tell you that. My brother played with her sons, and the councilwoman, my mom, were always at the hockey games, and they were heard.
Okay, any further comments from Councilman Abdullah?
Well, just since we have the school board here, one other item in regards to crossing, and I know you guys have heard it before, a common problem on Beach Daily right across from Crestwood High School. As you know, obviously, there's a crossing area at Wilson, and then the next one up would be either the fire department or at Ford Road. And as you are aware, and I am aware, driving by every morning, kids just cross that, and it just, I don't know what, I don't know all the solutions. I know at one point we had I talked with somebody from the school board in regards to something, going over, but the cost is crazy. So I don't know what solution we could have, but man, that is an accident. I hope not, but that's an accident waiting to happen. Because every kid, I see it every morning. I mean, they just run.
You've got teenagers driving quickly to get to.
And then they're coming out of the parking lot right away.
Yeah, you've got parents dropping students off. You've got walkers. It's a menagerie of you're right.
I see it every morning, trust me.
I don't know what the solution is. We've done traffic studies with the Dearborn Heights policemen have done a traffic study for us. We've done numerous things to try and alleviate that congestion there. We tried getting a light put in right at the high school, but we couldn't because of the flow of traffic and Ford Road. They said it would just be a bottleneck, even worse of a bottleneck.
Is a crossing guard out of the question? I know it's high school students, but still.
I suppose, it's the same situation as finding someone and that we can get as a crossing guard that's reliable and dealing with this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd love to sit and talk to you, brainstorm over, with council.
I'm willing.
Ideas.
I'm willing.
Well, I've been to some of your meetings, and I brought it up also, and I brought it up here at city council meetings, and I have some ideas, and I'm going to be coming to a Crestwood School Board meeting.
We're welcoming to anybody that can help.
Thank you.
us out. Thank you.
Hey, any other comment, Councilman Abdullah?
Just two more things. I want to congratulate the Dearborn Heights Fire Department on the chili cook-off picnic for the burn victims. Beautiful picnic, very well organized, and great turnout. So I just want to thank you guys for putting that together. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Hype Center. I went over to their festival. They had the Cultural and Diversity Festival. I went over there a couple different times this weekend. It was a great weekend, great food. They had all kinds of food trucks. They had all kinds of they had carnival rides. They had the bounce houses. They had great bands. Just a great event. So I want to congratulate Hype and Ali Said on a job well done.
Okay, Councilman Wenzel.
Okay, Police Chief, I have a few things for you. I'd like you to pursue that volunteer statement you made about seeing get volunteers for crossing guards. See if you can do something with that. I know you mentioned you'd look into it. Is that something you're going to do?
Well, we have signs posted to pay people. We're not receiving feedback, so any free work free employment will gladly take.
Are you posting the reserves as well?
Pardon me?
Are you giving an opportunity for the reserves to volunteer as well?
I'll make it available them to come in and do
anything. If you get one out of the deal, it'd probably be a plus. And can you give us an update on the RSO officers?
School resource officers?
Yeah.
Yes, we have 2 officers that have been selected to be school resource officers. This is their first week working. They've been into the buildings in the school districts, both D7 and Crestwood. They have their assignments. We're waiting for some confirmation from one of the school districts on firming up the MOUs, memo of understanding. So we're just waiting on one more.
Okay, are they going to start up right away when school starts?
Already started.
Already started, and it's SRO, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and thank you.
No problem.
I had an issue here. I was hoping Director McIntyre was here, the animal control, but I think something happened last week where a little 9-year-old girl was mauled to death by 3 pit bulls in Detroit, and having kids that age really hit home hard to me, and I think it's something that we should seriously look into. I mean, I know people have pets in their pit bulls and they say they're nice, but what's it going to take? This happened and it's a fact, so I think we should really look into it. I'm not sure what our ordinance is on pit bulls, but it's something that we should seriously look into. We don't want this thing happening in our city, so I'm going to really push for something to happen on that. And on my Dearborn Heights Veterans Facebook page, I was contacted by Debbie Dingle's office, a gentleman by the name of Andrew Herring, Veterans Affair. He offered some help if anybody needed it, and so far he's helped a gentleman out with housing, and this veteran is very, very happy. But once again, if you have a chance to go on the Dearborn Heights Veterans Facebook page, go ahead, give your comments or your help. We're looking for businesses to donate or reduce rates on services and business supplies or whatever. And at this time, I'd like all the veterans to stand up in the audience and please be recognized. Any veterans out there? Come on, Bill. Stand up there. Councilman Bill Bazzi also here. And I know the Superintendent of Building and Maintenance, is he here? Mike Blackburn? Can you give us an update, Mike? I know there's a lot of work getting done on the Swapka Park. Can you give us an update? I've seen a lot of good things happening there.
Well, over the last few months, we had new bleachers put in. We got the old bleachers out. We have a fence company coming in. They're straightening up some poles, putting on some new fencing, and we're going to go from there. They got a little bit more work to do. A couple things I wasn't happy with that we're going to work on. We're get resolved tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, do you have any, what's next on the schedule there? Do you have anything planned?
Not yet. We don't have anything planned yet. Soon we're going to go where the old bleachers were. We're going to dig that out, put in some fresh dirt, and then we'll have the our new hydro seeder we have. We'll get that over there. We'll spray it with hydro seed, get some grass growing there.
Okay. Do you plan on putting new bleachers in there at all?
Just the one bleacher that's behind the backstop now. Most people nowadays don't use bleachers. They bring their own seats because they have backs to them. The bleachers don't have backs. They're not used as much as they used to, so that's why we just put the one behind the backstop, and then we'll go grass the rest because people usually bring their own chairs.
All right, thank you. Just one more thing. The D7 Dads Club is currently taking registration for fall baseball, flag football, and cheerleading. They can contact the Richard A. Young Center for more information. Thanks.
Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few things to say. I hope you indulge me, but I think there's some good information that I'm going to give out. For lack of a better description, there's some unsavory characters working in Dearborn Heights. In the past couple weeks, I had a person come to my office and they said that they received a phone call urging them to join the permanent absentee list and asking him why he didn't turn in his absentee ballot, and questions about the election, and then convinced him to give a Social Security number and his birth date. Folks, the city clerk's office rarely will call people. We're going to call you if we get your ballot back and it's not signed and we have your phone number. We don't always have your phone number, but we'll call you and ask you if you want to come in and sign it. We'll never ask for that personal information. We don't maintain that. We don't have your Social Security numbers. Oftentimes, we don't have your phone number. So please, please know that anybody masquerading from not only the city clerk's office, but anywhere in the city or a government, don't give them the information. Secondly, another citizen came and talked to me about they were called supposedly by the Social Security and told that their checks would be cut off unless they gave information, and they gave that information up. Please beware of these kind of things, all right, folks? Don't go. A terrible thing that happened last week, and I know because there were senior citizens that were targeted. There was a group of people going around wanting to improve their house, namely tuck point and do cement work. They got one of our citizens and they convinced him that he needed work done to the tune of $500, wanted to take him to the ATM machine. Don't get in the car with anybody. Don't pay cash to anybody. Folks, don't do that. Call the police. They should have peddler's licenses, and if they're going to do something for you right away and they want cash, it's not a good thing. So that particular incident was a blue Hyundai. There were 2 males, a female, and a young person about 10 years of age, a blue Hyundai. So please beware of those type of things. Don't go with anybody. Don't give anybody your money, and don't agree to anything on the spot. And let's look out for each other, our neighbors, and so forth. I want to talk about, we have heroes, unsung heroes, and heroes that never get talked about throughout the city of Dearborn Heights, and I wanted to make sure that this person would allow me to mention his name, and he said okay. So there was an incident at the American Legion picnic a couple weeks ago where somebody was choking, and somebody tried to do the Heimlich maneuver, and it wasn't working. And this gentleman stepped in, and he potentially saved a person's life. So his name is Dan Volpini. If you know him, shake his hand, tell him thank you. He is a hero, and we need to hear more stories about heroes here in the city of Dearborn Heights. So thank you, Dan. And lastly, forgive me because this is going to be tough to say. Marge Horvath was a very special person. You loved her, you hated her, but you knew where you stood with her. I loved her. Got the pleasure to sit next to her for 7 years here. Within the last couple of months, she called me up and she wanted to give me some things. She gave me a Notre Dame plate, which we shared the love of Notre Dame, and she gave me some other things, and she gave me a chair. And she said, Walt, I want you to have this chair, and you could take it to the city with you, but if you know Marge, you can hear her saying this, but when you leave, you take that chair with you. Many people probably don't notice, but I'm sitting in a different chair tonight. This is Marge's chair. Marge will have a place at the city council table as long as I'm the city clerk. So thank you, Marge, for everything you did for everybody in the city of Dearborn Heights. God bless you, and say a prayer for us from heaven, because that's where you're sitting right now.
Okay, is there any other comments from the council table? At this point, I'm going to open it up to community announcements and ask you to limit it to 5 minutes, please. Any community,
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just wanted to make a couple of announcements. First, Tuesday, September 10th at Carroll and Kennedy Library from 7 to 8:30 p.m. will be a program on skillet suppers. Join culinary aficionado Mary Spencer as she whips up dishes like Tuscan tortellini, BLT brunch frittata, and salted caramel apple crisp. There was a challenge saying that. Samples and recipes will be provided. Registration is appreciated. Call 313-791-3800. Also, I'm happy to announce that this fall, we're going to be offering a new outreach services program. This program will deliver materials to residents unable to leave their homes due to disability or circumstance, but want access to reading materials. Once per month, we will deliver 2 homes for residents that qualify. Stay tuned for more details as they come available. And I also wanted to pass along how much I will personally and professionally miss Marge Horvath. I worked with her for a long time, had a lot of phone call conversations with her. She was a friend of the library. She's on the Library Wall of Honor at Carroll and Kennedy, and she will be greatly missed. So that's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
thank you. Any other community announcements?
Hi. Thank you, Diane Webb, County Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity real quick. I just want to give you an update on a couple things that I'm working on that I think it's important for you to know. Some of you may have seen me talk about them in different forums, but transparency is a huge issue with the county. We're like the only level of government that isn't televised. I've been fighting for this since I got there, and still not getting a lot of traction. I actually made a legislative move to amend the rules under the Open Meetings Act to televise all our meetings. I had co-sponsorship from Glenn Anderson and Melissa Daub, and it's still lost. They voted against televising our meetings or putting it into the rules. So I negotiated with the commission chair and was given a 90-day promise. So they're working on videotaping our meetings now with our equipment that we currently have, which is absolutely horrendous. And so you can barely make us out. So we are in the budget. We are in the throes of the budget right now, and as a county commission, we have $1 million surplus in our own budget. It's about $50,000 to bring all the equipment that we need into both our chamber and our committee room, and to what my legislation called for was that all meetings would be videotaped, that they would be aired both independently from the administration on YouTube, on the county's website, that they would be made available to any local unit of government that wanted to air our content on your local access channel. This would help you and your residents know what's going on in the county. They would know ahead of time when we are going to be working on Hines Drive, and those types of things. You would see deliberations on your park improvements and different things coming down the pike, so you could see the process, and you would be more aware of what the county's doing in your community. It also make your residents more aware of what the county's doing. It would also hold commissioners accountable to their constituencies, which I think is critical. So, so I did get a promise. It didn't go in the rules, but I did get a promise that it would be forthcoming, and that the dollars would be allocated from this year's budget, and that by the end of the year we will be videotaping and archiving and YouTubing and making available to you both our committee meetings, all 7 standing committees, and our full board meetings. So I just want to let you know that that's in process. I'm working on that. Of course, the budget takes 8 out of 15 votes, and I'm only one of them. But more to follow. I'll keep you updated on the progress of transparency. So I'm going to continue to move forward on that, and I'll keep you posted. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that I've asked for a $100,000 technical amendment to the budget for veterans outreach. Veteran services in Wayne County are absolutely horrendous. You know, I know Councilman Bazzi is a veteran and involved in the Veterans Court, because I've seen you there. And so both advocates for vets, and we have about 86,000 veterans in Wayne County, and Wayne County only funds 5 positions, full-time positions to serve veterans. To give you a comparison, Oakland County has about 58,000 veterans, and they have 17 people in their department. So it's about putting your money where your mouth is and serving the vets like we need to. So I did get the chair of Ways and Means to approve a budget allocation of $100,000 to hire 2 veterans to work in community outreach satellite offices, 1 in Western Wayne, 1 in Downriver, 1 on the east side. Those are positions that'll rotate, but that way our veterans don't have to drive downtown to West Adams, pay to park, navigate the traffic down there. I mean, if you're a veteran in need of emergency services, you don't have $25 to pay to park. And it's ridiculous, frankly, it's an insult that we ask them to do that. So I'm going to be working real hard on bringing veteran services, accessibility to veteran services into the county, throughout the county, out county. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that those two initiatives are in play right now. Like I said, there's 15 county commissioners on 1 vote. But, you know, I'm working it to get the support that I need to make them happen, and I'll keep you posted either way it goes. Okay? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, any other community announcements? Okay, next we will open it up to public comments. You will come up to the podium, state your name, you have 3 minutes, and I will ask you to not repeat what previous people have commented on to kind of streamline it.
Good evening again, Zuhair Abdelhaq. I was going to talk about 615. I looked at the backups. There was, if somebody can explain to me, 2 bills or 2 invoices. One is M0001000 and one is R0001000. I would like to know what those 2 are for, if they are different than the general insurance money we pay. If the mayor or the controller or anybody can explain what's the difference between the M001,000 and R001,000.
Okay, Comptroller Vance, would you like to comment on that?
Both bills are for our liability insurance, and the M00R, or whatever you called it, the $100,000 bill, is we have a retainage fund that we put money in for the times that we have claims, and we offset the claims by the money that we put in there to bank up, so when we get a claim, we have the money to pay it. The other one is just the liability insurance. It's the annual, it's a portion of the annual premiums.
Okay. Do they come from specific funds in the city?
We currently allocate it between, if you look at the invoice, I think it's the library, the water fund, the general government, and I think a small portion from the general government is actually allocated, I think, to the DPW.
Who does the allocation for these funds?
I do the allocation. It's based on a cost-sharing allocation that was with the city before I came in. I am currently working on updating those allocations for the following year, just to make sure that it's, I mean, they might be good, but I'm evaluating them to make sure it's an accurate portrayal.
The reason I'm asking, I see close to 199,000, close to 200,000 from the water fund. The city council voted to reduce the water rate by 10%. It was never done because everybody from Plant Moran, from the treasurer, stood here and said, we're going to be in trouble if we do cut 10%. But if we are in that kind of trouble, how could we take from the water fund that much money? And why we don't keep it for the project which are related to the water issues?
When you're looking at liability insurance, the water fund is one of the biggest funds that there's outstanding there's a chance of a liability because of the water lines breaking, the employees getting hurt, and all sorts of things.
Backup.
So sewer backup, things like that. So that's kind of what's looked into for the liability insurance, is who's the biggest user of it. And historically, the water department is one of the bigger departments that we have claims against. So that's kind of how I believe that's what the allocation is based on. But like I said, I'm currently evaluating to make sure that it's a proper allocation. In previous municipalities that I worked at, they used to do it by budget amount, and then MMRMA said that wasn't necessarily an accurate way of doing it. That's how they recommended at one point, and now we're moving to other ways of trying to figure out how to cost share this. So that's the allocation that's been determined before I came in here, and I'm going to look at it.
You still basically going with what previously done?
I'm sorry?
You're still doing the same thing which was previously done?
For this first one, for this fiscal year, as we're working on allocations, yes, until I can get a handle on everything, yes, that's the way it'll be. And if we determine that the allocation is not proper for any of those groups, then we will adjust it accordingly when we get the proper allocation ratio together.
And what was the reason, sorry to keep you there, but what was the reason that the water rate wasn't cut by 10% as the city council passed the resolution? On whose order the bills were sent out as they were without the cut of 10%?
I have sent at least 2 emails to council chair requesting clarification on the motion done by the city council. When the motion is typically done by Plant Moran by their study, when they calculate a rate increase or decrease, I guess, I don't know if they've ever done a decrease, they break down that rate increase by water, sewer, and flat rates to come to the amount of whatever that increase was. So if it was 5%, they kind of do a blend of it. We don't have that for the motion that the council, it just said 10% of the water rate. So we need clarification. Is it just 10% off the water rate? Is it part off of water, part off of sewer, part off of flat? So I sent 2 emails to the council chair asking for the council to have a session or something to discuss these items so that we can get clarification and we can put it through.
Yeah, I didn't propose that, so I'm not sure what you're looking for, an answer from me in regards to, but we can have a study session before next meeting, and let's discuss it.
You can, whenever you want. Like I said, I've sent several requests asking for clarification, because I tried Plant Moran, since they did not make the 10% rate decrease, they can't really do the allocation because they don't know what the city council's intent when they voted the 10% decrease in, what that factor is, if it's straight water or whatever.
It was for the water rates, it didn't state sewer or anything else. It was
Well, that's what I'm
water
saying.
rates.
Typically,
Self-explanatory.
well, no, it isn't. So that needs to be clarified before it can be done. So whenever you're ready, we can have that
We'll
discussion.
do that before the next meeting then, thanks.
Okay. My last comment, I feel that the residents deserve the 10%, and if we can afford to take $200,000 from the water fund, that means we have enough money in it. And the resolution should be followed. It's resolution by City Council. It should not be ignored. And it is, I say, on the City Council to enforce that. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other public comment? You have 3 minutes. State your name.
Good evening. My name is Hassan Bazi. I live in Sheehan Drive. I really want to address the issue again about I want to thank the school board members for attending tonight and bringing the subject about the crossing. This is a very serious issue here and very serious problem. And what I heard, if I understood this right, that the Crestwood Board of Education did pay some funds for services that we're supposed to get from the city or the police department. And I don't know if we got the services all the way. Maybe at this point, we need to get refund for the money that we paid, and we did not get the right service in there. That's between the line. But this is a very serious issue. I mean, we spoke about this. Some council members, city council members brought this matter in previous meetings, and it goes away, then it comes back. Let's take this very seriously here, and I urge the city and the city council to really step forward and help the school board, because we are in need for any help they need. I mean, we just passed a bond for $35 million, but still the help is needed, and I hope that subject will come into a good conclusion at the end of the day. So please take this in consideration. One more thing, I do golf. I used to golf at Warm Valley. I went there a couple times, 3 times this year. I really want to give the manager there, I believe his name is Eric, a salute. I mean, the place looks completely different how it was before. So just want to comment on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other public comments? Your name, and you have 3 minutes, please.
My name's Ron Frenzy, and I live at 6241 Fairwood, and Fairwood is 1 block east of Inkster. And the reason I'm here is kind of to raise a potential red flag, is that 4 to 5 weeks ago, one of my neighbors approached me and it said, "Did you notice something with your water?" I says, "No, my water's fine. Turn on the tap." And he said, "Well, our water has this brown color, sometimes it's yellow, and when my wife washes clothes, the clothes just stink." So I thought, well, just run the water and it'll be okay. 2 weeks ago, he said the same thing to me. The water is brown and yellow. And I thought, well, just do the same thing. I shouldn't have said that, though. So 5 hours ago, it hit my house. Turned on the tap. The water is all brown. It comes out yellow, has a bad smell, and so something is wrong. I don't know if that's, if you guys know about...
We'll check that right away.
Dr. Sally?
Because if someone were to drink that could be a real problem.
Yeah, typically that brown water, rusty water color is somebody One is using a fire hydrant, which will stir up the sediments in the pipe, and two broken water mains. So typically if you run it in the lowest point, run your cold water in the lowest point, it'll clear up in about 15 to 20 minutes.
So has there been a water main break the past 4 or 5 weeks? It's been going on for
I'll
like...
look into it. I don't have them all memorized on the top of my head, and I don't know if the fire department's been over there or if there's somebody else using the hydrants over there. I don't have all that knowledge at the top of my tongue right now.
So I have a list of the houses that are affected. I only contacted 3 neighbors, and all 3 neighbors have it.
I got your address, and we'll reach out to you.
Can he just give you those addresses?
Can I give you the addresses?
Sure. Give it to John right now.
Right, just give it to him right
Go
now.
hand it to him.
So I've been told just now that the Great Lakes Water Authority was doing some work at the meter pit. So that would at Inkster and Warren Avenue, there's a meter pit where their water comes into our system, and if they're flushing their system, that will cause that. So
They were doing that today?
yes.
Okay. That's good.
Yep.
So but it has been going on for like 4 to 5 weeks.
Off and on.
Kind of often.
I live in Gulfview Manor just on the other side, and they've been doing that all summer. You sometimes see them in front of Dimitri's.
Yeah.
That's what they've been doing.
John, I still think, honestly, we should still look into that just in case.
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, I think a water sample would be a good idea.
That's good.
Yes.
Hi.
3 minutes, and your name.
Marion Johnson, I live on Highland. I also have a water issue. My water issue is a bill, and I'm very frustrated. I just want to express my frustration with the billing department. You can't hear me? Okay. I want to express my frustration with the billing department. And of course, I left my backup at home, but anyway. Our water bills are generally $45, $47, somewhere in that neighborhood. Normally use about 6, 7, or at the most 8 units of water. Our last bill was for 2.5 months, 2 months and 15 days, and it was over $200. The one before it, the previous one, was 47 and change. I did call the billing department, and we checked our meter, verified there's no leaks anywhere. Nobody's stealing water, nobody around me has a pool. We went over everything that we can think of. At the time that I talked to her, it was about 10 days past the billing cycle, and I gave her the new numbers on the water meter, and she said at that rate, our next bill is going to be closer to $300. I don't know what to do. They keep telling me it's consumption. My 67-year-old husband and I live alone. We don't have a pool, a jacuzzi, anything like that. We have 1 bathroom. I wash clothes a couple times a week. I run the dishwasher a couple times a week. There's no reason for it, and I can't understand it.
Did you have the meter tested by any chance ever?
No.
Because that's a good idea to do that. It happened to me at my house years ago, and when they did test it, they found out there was something wrong with the meter. So that may be the next thing you want to look into.
How can I go about?
You call the water department, and then they'll send somebody out to test
They
the
just
meter.
keep saying it's consumption. They won't even listen to me.
If you have a problem, you know how to contact me. I'll take care of it.
Well, if you give me the address afterwards, I can have somebody go out and check your meter.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
Along the same lines, and this just happened this past week on the 22nd. My mother-in-law sold her house and we got a final water bill reading. The house has been empty for a few months, maybe 6 months, 7 months. And her bills were always the minimum, $48, $48, $48, all actual readings. We got the last reading, and I went into the water department to talk to the gals, and the bill was $190. There's no way on God's green earth these people are actually reading the meters. They can't be. They can't be, because you just can't go 48, and you go $48 minimum rate for 8, 9 months, and then you're hit with a big bill, and it's always in August, every single August, and everybody has the same complaint. We need to find out what is going on, why these bills aren't being, they're not actual readings, they can't be. It's impossible. And I know how to check for water leaks. No water leaks. Okay, I get hit with the same thing. Thank God I can afford it right now. But I'm not going to say I can in 3, 4, 5 years.
We're on Social Security.
And believe me, I'm rowing the boat with you. Because it's impossible to go 8, 9 months with $48 minimum usage and then all of a sudden get hit with a $200 water bill.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments?
Move to adjourn.
Do I hear a motion to end our meeting?
Council, move to adjourn the meeting.
Support.
Or by Councilman Constant? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is ended.